What's up, everybody? Mark with Kardavox Academy here, and I'm pumped. How'd you like that walk-in intro, by the way? It's kind of a thing I'm playing around with. You know, it lets you see the little background, going on. I'm trying the purple light, make it look like I'm a Twitch streamer. Really cool. Make it look like I'm a really cool guy. But Mark with Kardavox Academy here, and I'm very excited because today we're going to be checking out Oceano. We've talked about Oceano. I think I've done 2 reactions about Oceano here on the channel before, and I think Adam, who, if you're new to Oceano, hope you enjoy the song we're about to listen to, but the vocalist Adam Warren, I think, has a very unique voice. I think he's got a very distinct tone, and not to mention, he's a nice guy. We had him on the channel. He was a joy to talk to, and I really admired just basically his whole approach to vocals. So I'm really excited to hear what this new song, Wounds Never Healed, sounds like. It's been a long day. Actually, it's been a good day. I just recently got off a call with Sibila Extreme Vocals. If you have seen his vocal tutorials on the channel, he's a super cool guy. I basically watched some of his tutorials. I was like, hey, you seem cool. Let's talk. And we had a great conversation. We just talked for an hour and a half. But I really enjoy Oceano. I really enjoy Adam Warren's voice, and I'm very excited to hear what the band is doing, because I've had a couple people tell me that the song sounds a little bit different. Like, it sounds like maybe they're going in a new direction. Sometimes people say that, and I don't think it's true, so we'll find out. But yeah, we're going to talk about it. Now, if you're new to the channel, again, my name is Mark. I am a metal vocalist of about 14 years. I've been doing harsh vocals in a band called Kardashev. I've had some other smaller projects, like I did the last song for a band called Viremia. We did a fun black metal project called Never Breath, but these days I'm just doing Kardashev, and it's a lot of fun. I'm also a full-time vocal instructor. I help people make crazy noises, stuff like safely and efficiently, so they don't hurt themselves, and so they can achieve their metal vocal goals. It takes, it can take a while, but that's what I'm there for. I'm there to help them along the journey. So if you like reaction videos, this one, like many other educational reactors out there, will have pausing. I'll be talking about vocal technique. I'll be making observations. All of it, well, I guess technically, since I'm fairly familiar with Adam's voice, it's not fully off the cuff, but it's as off the cuff as I can basically be. So there will be some pausing, there will be some rewinding, but I'm here to educate on vocals and hopefully help you be entertained as well. So let's go ahead and let's just get into it. I got nothing else to say that is worth anything. So let's check out Oceano. Wounds Never Healed. Here we go. Okay, so that seems like a pretty good place to pause and start talking about things. So if this is your first Oceano song, if this is the first song you've heard by this band, or the first time you've heard Adam's voice, they've been around for a while, and they've been, oh my God, look at me. My shirt is covered in toddler stuff. Look at that. Look at this. Why change my shirt, though? What's the point? If you're a parent out there, you know that you look down, you see some toddler yuck on your shirt, and you just keep going, because it's going to get dirty in 5 minutes anyway. But if this is your first time hearing Oceano, I definitely advise you to go back and listen to their earlier songs. Not because, it's not a situation where I think they're better. I actually really love where they're at today. I think that their music has really grown and progressed to where it's sounded very engaging and relevant throughout the entirety of their career. That's just my opinion. But it's to really admire how consistent Adam's voice is. He has grown as a vocalist over all of these years, but he's always been consistently very, very good. And one thing that's very unique about his tone is how textured it is. And what I mean by that is, like, a lot of vocals, like my vocals, for example, they're really rough and rumbly. Right? There's a lot of identifiable pop and crack and flap. But with Adam's voice, it's almost smooth. You know, like you would never think of a harsh vocal as being smooth, but I feel like if his screams were like a texture, it would be like velvety, right? It would be like a very like fancy expensive cloth. You know what I mean? And another thing that he does really uniquely, we're going to get more into it, but these are things I want to prep you for so you can keep an eye out for them, is a lot of the ways that we traditionally open up our screams and make them low. Is to, obviously we drop the jaw, we pucker or curl the lips a little bit, but it's also to curl the tongue back, uh, 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 and that gives us that deep type of space. One thing that's very interesting and very impressive, in my opinion, with Adam's voice, and I want you to keep an eye out for this. Now, this is a music video, so it's probably lip syncing. That's not cheating. That's how music videos work. Although many vocalists, they will actually scream, even though the music video isn't catching their audio, but they will scream to make it look as real as possible. And if that's the case, Adam's tongue is very often just down. Like he can reach extremely low spaces, just ah. We'll speculate that in a little bit, but so far I'm really liking the song. I'll make some more comments in a bit, but let's let a little bit more of the song roll, and then we'll talk about exercises, technique, more in-depth, harsh vocal stuff. Here we go. Yo, like, honestly, those beautiful, like that synth, that ambient, I don't know exactly what they were using, but in the background there was just like da da da, like that. Oh my god, I will take that over like the craziest, gnarliest breakdown any day. And that's not like saying one is better than the other. This is just my personal preference, right? But goodness gracious, that, and I want to go back a little bit so y'all can hear that, because I think that's like a really interesting sound that was very, very popular in like the, if you remember a band, Aegean in like the 2010s through 2015s, 2015s. But here they're doing it, and it still sounds very modern. It doesn't sound like they're trying to say like, oh, let's go back, but they're bringing this like sort of like washy, almost like positive major key sounding ambience back. Now let's talk about actual vocals, vocal theory of vocalization here. So one thing that you're probably noticing, again, sorry, I'm distracted by how nasty my shirt is. I'm wishing I changed it, but I'm too lazy to start this video over. One thing that you've probably heard now that I've pointed out to you, or you probably would have heard it on your own anyway, is the texture of Adam's voice, right? The texture of how it sounds. Now, how does that happen? Why does that happen? Well, the first thing I want to point out here is these are very, very, very fry focused screams, right? And if you've watched the channel for long enough, you know that I think the term fry is a bit of a mess. And so I tend to say fry focused or fry heavy, because there are many, many sounds which can fall under the fry umbrella, and very few of them are just purely the whole vocal, like very few of them are like that low fry register brought up. That's a good way to start, but it always has to progress past that, right? It's not the only way to start either. But essentially, these are very like fry focused screams. And what's happening here is that the tissues are vibrating much, much differently. And when I'm talking about the tissues, I'm talking about the tissues above the vocal folds. They're going to be vibrating at a much different speed than on a false chord. So when we do a traditional false chord, we're talking like death metal, you can hear that there's a lot of very distinct rumble, a lot of very distinct rattle, right? This is happening because my throat is super, super intensely relaxed. Just mondo intensely relaxed. I'm relaxing intensely. That's essentially the main thing here is there's relaxation and airflow moving through those relaxed tissues, right? So if we want to tighten up that sound, what we do is with the tissues above our vocal folds, we tighten them up. Now, this is something for the longest time I sort of danced around because, tension and constriction with singing and in the singing world is generally, you say that, you're dead. But, recently, and I talked about it, the charismatic voice put up another video where they're studying Will Ramos's voice, and some of the leading vocal scientists in the world were like, yeah, he's squeezing and it's okay. So finally it's okay, right? But what we need to, if we're gonna get like these lighter sound, or these more TV staticky sounds, we have to do is we need to engage those vocal cords in a different, or those vocal tissues above the vocal cords in a different way. Now, this is not a situation where more constriction means better. You'd be surprised, and this is generally part of the reason you would want to go to a vocal coach. Not everybody needs to, but many people benefit from it. You would want to go to a vocal coach is because they're going to be able to help you understand how much is too much and how much is not enough. But if I take this, and I add a little constriction, I like to use my arytenoids. You can hear how the texture changes. Right? And we get sounds. I don't think this is exactly what he's doing, but we get similar sounds, right? I want you to pay attention to how relaxed he is as well. I've never seen Adam live, so I don't know if the way he is acting in this music video matches his overall demeanor live. I'm sure it's fairly similar, although I'm sure for some songs he hypes up as well. But regardless of that, this is very similar to how like you could look when doing vocals properly. When we do vocals, we often put on a show, but in actuality, we can do, there is no curse for me to fear, for Christ my Lord has died. You can do it very relaxed. So this is an excellent move here. Yeah, let's go back a little bit just because I want you to pay attention to that ambience. It was gorge. Maybe here. That looks like a good spot. Let's go. Yeah, like all that neck tension. He probably doesn't even actually need that. Here we go. I didn't say I don't like heavy breakdowns. I'm just saying I'll take that ambient stuff any day. This is sick though. So Adam's making a very intuitive decision here. It's a simple decision. It's a good decision, but it's one that's often very, very overlooked. And when I explain it to you, you're probably gonna be like, yeah, obviously we would want to do that. Oh man, how cool is it that I chose purple? Look at that. And like we've got the purple and blue scheme. People are gonna think I watched the video beforehand. I didn't. Purple is just a nice color on brown or black. I guess technically I did because I had to scrub through to check my levels. So I've heard like 3% of this song so far. Anyway, so he's making a very intuitive decision here that it's not like it's a requirement, but it's really working out. So the song up until now, to non-metal fans, this is going to sound kind of funny, has been fairly light, right? It's been ambient. It's been almost like retrospective, I would say. I'm not sure what the lyrics are, but those are the tones and the emotions that I get from listening to the song, right? It's a contemplative song. It's not a song that you punch your buddy to, or at least up until now it wasn't. It's a song where you like sit on a hill and look at the sunset and like look back on your life and think about how, you disappointed your mom and you don't want to do that anymore. I'm just kidding. We're not responsible for our parents' emotional health. It's a good thing to remember. But now the song is getting heavier. The song is getting darker. The song is getting intense, right? And so what we've done, if we go back, now we're not going to go back just because I don't want to have the editing mess. But if we think about it, in the beginning of the song, there were a lot of wide open shapes, right? So we had the scream, right? The right? And then we had the shape, or as the charismatic voice has kind of been calling it recently, the filter, right? That the sound is moving through, right? We have that. Okay, we have that. And it's been more wide open. And you can kind of hear what effect this has, right? So if I take and I'll use like an old school kind of basic false chord. Yeah, because it's really easy to hear the difference. So if I do like an why I by so oh like it's a mid basically. Now if I curl, I'm not really going to change what I'm doing here, but if I curl the lips, curl the tongue, gently jut the jaw forward, right? You want to do some jaw stretches as part of your warm up, but gently jut the jaw forward. It's going to take on a more, not just lower, but it's going to allow you to access different emotional spaces, tell different stories, right? So we're here, right? Versus, hey, the sky's open, they say you saw, right? Different tones and textures. And so as the song has progressively gotten heavier, he has progressively gotten more aggressive in his vocal style without having to push harder. Without having to overproject, I should say, without having to go faster, right? He's relying entirely on tone and timbre to change the characteristics of his voice. And I think that's very, very cool. Good job. Love to hear it. That beautiful synth comes in and now he moves to a brighter vocal. I don't know if he did that intentionally. I mean, he's been a vocalist forever, so I lean into the fact that he probably did it intentionally. But do you notice how as the song got brighter, as the song changed emotion, he brightened up his voice? Okay, well, there's clearly something happening here. We got to fill, right? One thing I really liked was that last like sort of closure, that last sort of like chewing down on the vocal. And that's actually kind of what I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about vocal embellishments, right? So this isn't like a super like big academic term, or maybe it is, but that's not how I'm using it. But what I'm talking about is all the stuff that we do to the scream once we have it, right? And you know, he's definitely not laying it on thick here, but when he does it, it makes a difference. And this is a wide range of sounds, right? So the song was heavy and he did this before a scream. Like he pulls in that air, you know, that sounds aggressive. Or, you know, right when the song started to get more aggressive, he did like the sort of lean into the scream. Yeah, say, he's not doing it across the whole song, which if he was, that wouldn't be wrong, right? I'm not here to tell you rules about composition. These are just things that I'm hearing him, choices that he made. And then, you know, there's been a lot in this song. There's been like the changing of the color and the tone of a scream, right? So he might like round his lips a little bit, like, what song is that? Oh, na 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 da dun dun. I don't know. Anyway, he's just changing the color and the tone of his scream, right? And then here he rolls through the whole gamut, right? What a cool choice. What a cool, like right before this big break, he's like, oh, here's my low and my mid and my high, my low and my mid and my high. And the type of vocal that he's doing, you know, this sort of like constricted, sort of airy, not in a bad way, but in like, it has like this sound to it that can be difficult to move around from low to high, because we have all these preconceived notions of high notes are above us and low notes are below us. But a lot of it, again, is about pressure. It's about timbre. It's about openness. It's about like the embouchure, like the aperture of your mouth. And so he's doing that very, very well. Overall, he's also, you know, keeping this song fairly in the pocket. You know, we've got like the you know, like maybe this is like maybe this is what's going on. Da 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 ba da sa bra da 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 da. And that's a tricky game, to be honest with you, because oftentimes when a vocalist is too like too like on beat. They're not really doing any like syncopation or anything like this. It can sound very nursery rhyme. It can sound, you know, like I can't tell you how many metal songs which like melodically don't sound like row your boat, but they're basically like row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. You know what I'm saying? Viking metal. Sorry, had to say it. Sorry to the Viking metal fans, but it happens, okay? And I'm sure you'll all have your reasons in the comments. And those reasons are valid, but it doesn't change that it kind of sounds like a nursery rhyme sometimes. But right here, it's not coming across that way. And I think one of the main reasons for that are there are moments where he speeds up and slows down, right? And there are also moments where, again, he's really playing support to what I'm trying to say is he's playing a support role to this song, right? He is vocally not saying like, hey, I'm the vocalist, pay attention to me, look at me, which that's fine for a lot of genres. We even want that in a lot of genres. That's what we want from a lot of deathcore. That's what we want from pop music, right? We want the vocalist to demand the attention. But here, you know, Adam is certainly a very, you know, dominating presence vocally, but he's very much, I feel like he probably sat down with this song and each section he was thinking less about how do I sound cool and more about how do I make this song the best that it could be. And I have a lot of respect towards that songwriting approach. Anyways, let's see what kind of crazy stuff I'm going to get into here. That's a beautiful shot. Sounds like a very uplifting, like a very positive message song. Let's go back here real quick. So that almost sounded like a arytenoidal epiglottal. I'd have to listen to it again, but almost like a hey, nothing will change. Didn't have that cartoony quality that what I just did had, but it almost sounded like that. That could also be coming from some of the layers interacting, but that was very interesting. And then we get like a very like Corey Taylor, very Slipknot, like nothing will change, right? And one of the best ways you can access that is like that's a sound that you can make sound absolutely fine, absolutely wrong. You know what I mean? And what I mean by this is you can make a scream, a finished product vocalization that will sound like you're doing it right, but you're doing it with a ton of constriction. One of the best ways to do this is, you know, Kargarya is a really good way to start with this. You take Kargarya, you rev a motorcycle, and then you start thinking about leaning that distortion into the front of your face as you like pick up a box. If you don't do that shift of resonance, you're going to squeeze your vocal cords together way too hard and you're going to hurt them. What we're actually trying to do when we do this is we create tension in the tissues above the vocal cords, but the vocal cords themselves don't have as much tension put on them. So we get this like, you know, this nothing will change, right? And you get like sort of that sound. Really pretty cool. That was interesting. I can't tell if it was the layers. Oh, my eyes are really itchy. I can't tell if it was just the layers interacting. Maybe they were crossfading over each other. But it almost sounded like he took that nothing will change and then just added more air while releasing the vocal cords. It's fascinating how many vocal techniques that's what we're doing. Like so many vocal techniques that we can learn basically involve the blueprint is this: make a true chord sound and a distortion sound at the same time. Slowly release the vocal cords while we slowly engage the tissues, creating the distorted sound or creating the distortion of the sound, right? and then we lean into that. So it's like passing a baton, you know. The clean chords are like, hey, and then they pass to the distortion, and briefly they're touching the baton at the same time, and then all we have is distortion. So it's like, hey, hey, like, it's like interesting how many things we can do with that sort of blueprint. Really fascinating. Yeah. Yeah, and then we have like a very positive, like boo 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 boo. Right. So clearly they're not trying to be like, oh, let's be as heavy and gross as we possibly can. You know, they're saying like, oh, that looks interesting, featuring Dave Simnich. Hell yeah. They're creating something elegant. They're creating something introspective, and with the lyrics, like, it starts with you. It starts with you. The awakening starts with you. It sounds like that's what they were going for. But anyways, about 30 minutes on the clock as it is, so I should probably wrap it up here, especially since I got a couple students in a couple hours. But essentially, really great song. I really like, you know, I know normally I'm like, but that song was like putting me at ease. I felt very relaxed. Maybe that's weird, but I felt very relaxed. I felt like, honestly, like if I was listening to that song by myself, like not in front of a camera, not trying to educate and entertain, I'd probably just be sitting like this. But I'd be really enjoying it quite a bit, you know? And sometimes maybe it's just because, you know, I'm getting older, you know, coming up on 36 in just a couple months here. But I'm tending to gravitate towards music that really just kind of makes me slow down and think, versus speed up and get into like a euphoric state, which there's a place and a time for that. And certainly Oceano knows how to, you know, hit that emotional drive as well. But that's basically it. That's all I have for now. If you're interested in more vocal technique and analysis, check out my channel. I've got almost 400 videos of this stuff. If you're interested in clean singing analysis and technique, check out our second vocal coach here on the channel. Her name is Verona. She's extremely talented, and she offers amazing insights. And if you're interested in learning more about how to create harsh vocalization, check out KarDavoxAcademy.com. Our website's getting revamped, so it looks like garbage right now, but all the necessary stuff is there. So don't worry about it. And that's it. That's all I got for you. I am going to prep for my upcoming lessons. Many thanks. Much love. I'm out.